When someone stops talking to you, it can feel worse than an actual argument. Because silence leaves you alone with questions, and good people tend to answer them against themselves. You replay everything, searching for the moment you became too much, too cold, too difficult. And that is exactly why the silent treatment hits good people so hard. Not because you are weak, but because you still assume other people mean well. You think distance means hurt feelings, not strategy, punishment, control, or emotional blackmail. So you explain more, apologize faster, and offer peace to someone enjoying your confusion. If you stay with me, that confusion is going to finally make sense. And more importantly, you will know exactly how to stop feeding it. I think a lot of people learn manipulation backward, only after caring deeply and getting burned. They do not spot it when it starts. They spot it when they feel smaller. They notice it after the stomach drop, the overthinking, and the sudden need to fix everything. Maybe that is your story too, and maybe you're tired of doubting yourself. Someone goes cold, and suddenly you are carrying the whole emotional weight alone. No explanation, no closure, no adult conversation, just absence with a message hidden inside it. The message is simple: get back in line or sit with this pain. That is why weak advice never helps here, because it ignores what the silence is doing. People say, give them space, be patient, stay kind, do not assume the worst. Sometimes that is wise. Sometimes silence really is somebody regulating before they speak badly. But manipulative silence is different, and your body usually knows before your mind admits it. Healthy distance creates clarity. Toxic silence creates panic, guilt, and a pressure to earn contact. That difference matters more than people think, because one protects peace and the other controls access. The silent treatment works on good people because good people search for repair before self-protection. You care about impact. You care about tone. You care about not becoming the problem. A manipulative person weaponizes those qualities because your conscience saves them from having one. They do not need to scream if they can make you punish yourself. And silence is perfect for that, because silence lets you write their excuses for them. You tell yourself they are stressed, overwhelmed, disappointed, triggered, busy, confused, or misunderstood. Meanwhile, they are watching whether your discomfort will pull you back into compliance. That is why good people get stuck longer, because empathy keeps reopening doors that hurt. You think understanding them will solve it. You think saying it better will calm it. But the problem is not misunderstanding. The problem is that your pain is useful to them. If they cared about resolution, they would use words instead of making you chase basic human decency. When someone withholds contact to make you anxious, that is not space. That is leverage. And good people are especially vulnerable to leverage wrapped in emotional ambiguity. Because ambiguity keeps you engaged. You stay in the loop, trying to decode what should be clear. A direct insult can make you angry. Silence usually makes you question yourself first. That delay is where the manipulation works, because self-doubt buys them time and power. You start editing yourself before they even say a word, and that is the trap. You send the long text, you smooth your tone, you offer another chance before clarity. Then they return like nothing happened, and now you feel almost guilty for noticing. Or worse, they return wounded, like your reaction was the real offense. That is another reason silence works so well on good people too. You are not just dealing with pain. You are dealing with your own fairness. You do not want to accuse someone unfairly, so you leave the door wide open. And manipulative people love wide open doors, because it lets them enter without accountability. Think about the boss who ignores your message all weekend after criticizing your work Friday. You spend 2 days terrified, rewriting the meeting in your head, losing sleep over tone. Monday comes and they act normal. No apology. No explanation, just your nervous system pain. That silence trained you. It taught you their mood controls your peace. Or think about a parent who goes cold the moment you say no. Suddenly birthdays feel tense, family chats go quiet, and your name carries invisible blame. Nobody says it directly, but everyone feels it, and you feel responsible for fixing it. That is not mature conflict. That is punishment disguised as disappointment instead. Silent treatment often looks passive, but the effect is aggressive, targeted, and emotionally coercive. It says, I will not hit you, but I will make you ache. I will not explain, but I will make uncertainty sit in your chest. I will not ask for change directly. I will make connection feel conditional instead. That is why the silent treatment is so effective inside close relationships. The closer you are, the more silence feels like danger, not just absence. Your body reads withdrawal like a threat because connection once meant safety. Good people especially feel that because they bond through care, consistency, and emotional responsibility. So when someone suddenly shuts the door, your first instinct is not suspicion. Your first instinct is repair. And that makes you powerful in healthy relationships, vulnerable in unhealthy ones. That nuance matters because not every difficult person is toxic at all. Some people shut down because they are overwhelmed, ashamed, or emotionally underdeveloped. Emotional immaturity can create silence without calculated cruelty, but it still does real damage. And strategy matters because you do not handle every silent person the exact same way. But here is the question that clears the fog when silence starts swallowing your mind. What happens when you stop chasing, stop explaining, and stop offering repair before respect returns? A healthy person may not like your boundary, but they can still speak. They may need time, but they do not turn your anxiety into a lesson. A toxic person treats your limit like betrayal because your limit blocks their access. They do not hear no as information, they hear it as lost control. So the backlash is the point, because pressure is how they try to reopen your availability. Their anger can mean they lost control. Their guilt trips can mean they lost access. Their silence can mean punishment dressed up as distance, especially when it follows your boundary. And when they say you're changed, sometimes it only means you stopped being easy to use. Good people need to hear that more than once, because guilt has a long echo. You are not cruel for noticing patterns. You are not dramatic for naming punishment. You are finally reading behavior instead of swallowing it, and that changes everything fast. Now let us talk about why the silent treatment works especially well on people pleasers. People pleasing is not just being nice. It is managing other people to feel safe. So when someone goes silent, your alarm system says, fix it before connection disappears. You do not just miss them, you feel responsible for restoring emotional weather. That is exhausting, and manipulative people can sense it fast, then use it quietly. They learn that all they have to do is withdraw warmth briefly, and you spiral. They do not need evidence, honesty, or resolution if your fear does the labor. That is why overexplaining makes it worse, because explanations become openings for more control. The more you explain, the more they learn what guilt works on you. They study your conscience like a map, then press where you are easiest to move. That is why one of your strongest tools is saying less now. Not because silence is always powerful, but because unnecessary explaining feeds manipulative silence. You do not need to write a paragraph to someone refusing basic conversation. Try this instead when pressure starts building. I already answered that, and my answer stands. Or this when I keep pushing after silence breaks. I am not discussing this right now. Or even shorter when the moment truly calls for it. No, not this time. Good people hate that answer because it feels abrupt, but clean is not cruel. The silent treatment trains you to believe softness is the only safe tone. But some people hear softness as negotiable, which is why clarity must sometimes sound simple. That does not mean harsh. It means flat, steady, and unavailable for games. Keep your tone calm. Do not rush to fill the gap after the limit. That pause matters more than people realize because silence stops controlling you when you stop rescuing it. A nonverbal tool can change the whole interaction. Hold eye contact briefly, then say less. Do not soften your no with a nervous smile and 3 extra explanations. That softness may be kind with safe people. It is costly with controlling ones. And here's what most people miss about the silent treatment completely at first. It does not just hurt because you miss the person. It hurts because your reality gets hijacked. Silence creates a blank screen, and hurt people tend to project their deepest fears onto blanks. If your deepest fear is rejection, silence becomes proof you are unwanted. If your deepest fear is being selfish, silence becomes proof you did something wrong. If your deepest fear is abandonment, silence becomes emotional freefall almost immediately. That is why healing this pattern is not only about reading them better. It is about refusing to automatically turn their behavior into a verdict on you. Their withdrawal is information about them, their habits, and their character. It is not identity. That reframe is hard when you are hurting, but it is how you break the spell. You stop asking, what did I do to deserve this? You ask, what does this reveal? What does it reveal about their maturity, their honesty, and their respect for connection? Because real care does not disappear every time access changes, preferences differ, or boundaries appear. Real care can survive a no, an honest disagreement, and a delayed response. Control cannot, which is why controlling people act injured when they lose convenience, leverage, or certainty. They call you rude when you become clear. They call you cold when you stop begging. But what they are really mourning is ease, because you are no longer easy to steer. You are no longer translating their silence into your duty, and that changes the whole game. Let me give you one more example, because this shows up in fake friendships too. You say no to a favor once, and suddenly they disappear for days. Then they return with a thin smile, acting normal, while warmth is carefully withheld. You can feel the punishment, but if you name it, you become dramatic. That is how silence protects itself, by making proof difficult while impact stays painfully obvious. This is why strategy matters more than confrontation in some situations, especially repeated ones. You do not always need a big speech. You need consistency. They cannot bend. That can sound like, "I am available during work hours," and then actually mean it. Or, "We are not doing this," followed by leaving the room instead of debating disrespect. Or, "My answer is the same," said once, then repeated with less emotion. Repetition is powerful because manipulators feed on openings, not strength, and consistency closes openings. The goal is not to win the moment. The goal is to stop auditioning for basic respect. That is the deeper wound good people carry, the need to earn what should be mutual. Silent treatment hooks into that wound beautifully for the person using it. Because if you already believe love can be lost through one wrong move, silence feels like truth. But it is not truth. It is pressure, and pressure is not proof of guilt. It is someone else using distance to manage your behavior without honest conversation. Once you see that clearly, their silence loses some of its magic. It may still hurt, but it stops defining you, controlling you, and rewriting your worth. You stop collapsing at every cold shift. You start observing patterns instead of chasing warmth. You stop treating silence like mystery. You treat it like data, and data guides decisions. Data tells you who can handle honesty and who needs confusion to stay powerful. Data tells you whether this is a person to work with, limit, or leave. And that is where your power returns, quietly, without trauma, without speeches, without begging. You do not need to become cold to stop being controlled by them anymore. You need to become clear, slower to react, and harder to emotionally corner. You need to trust the pattern more than the apology, the silence, or the comeback. Because some people return not to repair, but to see whether the door stayed open. And if it did, they learn the method still works and your peace stays negotiable. Do not let their silence teach you that access matters more than respect. Respect first, clarity second, access last. That order protects you from a lot of pain. If this hit close, think about who becomes colder whenever you become clearer. That answer will tell you a lot about them. It may be finally free something in you. And if you are done chasing peace from people who profit from your panic, stay here. There's more coming on boundaries, guilt, and the quiet ways control hides. Protecting your peace is not rude. It is overdue, and it starts with seeing clearly.